to Red and Direct. Here's part 2 of Pandemic Talk. Part 1 can be found in our description.
Also, I'm someone, I consider myself as introvert. So, I don't really socialize that much even before the pandemic. But for some reason, after you go through that period of time where you're like stuck at home, you suddenly miss socializing. And that's coming from me, a self-processed introvert.
It's like it has to be your choice. If it's not your choice, then it's not fun anymore.
I understand. That's actually really interesting because I'm an extrovert, and being stuck at home, I was like, oh, I can live like this. Like I was like suddenly, like not that bad staying at home for a full month. Like I was amused with how okay I was at the beginning, at least. And then towards the end, I definitely got itchy. I just wanted to go out. But at the start, I was kind of like, okay. It felt like us in the first month, a bit like recharging myself. I'm usually a very like, go out and see people and stuff. But yeah, it was nice to kind of like have time for myself and just like watch a bunch of movies and everything. But of course, yeah, it lasted for like the first month. And then after that, it was like, I want to go out.
I want to meet people. I want to. Never mind.
So, I mean, yeah, that must have been a really stressful time for a lot of us. How did you cope with that?
Oh, that's easy for me to answer because all I did to cope with stress at that time was sleep.
Oh, okay.
There was no escape from anything, so all I could do was sleep it off.
I thought you were going to say that games help you like to cope.
Escapism,
yeah.
In a way, like usually that's what I do. I play games or I read books because of the escapism. But because we were all stuck indoors and a lot of the stresses were also indoors, and it's like even if you did try to escape, because you were still like conscious and aware of the fact that you couldn't really escape no matter what you wanted to do, it didn't work.
Right.
But this is again coming from a very privileged position where like my stresses were work, family fights, all those small things. So like I could sleep it off.
Right.
What about you guys?
Again, coming from a privileged background, like all I did was pretty much, I filled my time with hobbies. I was unemployed for like the first 4 months of the pandemic, I think, or first few months, and my other sister was as well. So we just like did a bunch of stuff at home. We like did jigsaw puzzles, and we just did a lot of baking and a lot of painting and stuff like that. Like we just filled our time with a lot of K-dramas. And yeah, it helped. That was what allowed me to still feel like I was having fun, like I wasn't so down all the time. And yeah, so that was what I did. Yeah. What about you?
I learned Japanese.
Oh, sweet.
But please don't ask me to converse in Japanese right now. Other than that, I watch movies, I play games, I sleep. But again, when we say about coming from a privileged position, right? It sucks that I'm able to, just have little minuscule problems while other people are struggling worse than me.
For real.
Yeah. So it's just a horrible situation. But for some reason, I use that time to like increase my skills. It's a really odd way to say.
Yeah. Like it's almost like, I just had to wait until something really bad happened to do something that I could have done before. I get what you mean.
It's such a horrible way to think of it, but yeah, that's what I did to like ease my loneliness and cabin feverness. How many times I said cabin fever?
But a lot of people did that, so I feel like a lot of people recognize that things could be worse for them than it was, and that a lot of other people out there were suffering. But that doesn't mean that there was nothing they could do. There was nothing that they couldn't do, and then they utilized that time, like you did, to learn something new. And I think that's cool. You never know how handy that might be. Maybe next time we're all stuck in Japan and speak Japanese.
Yeah.
Big thing happened. What will you guys remember the most out of the past year that has gone by?
I would remember how we all somehow came together, and all of us have this like mutual understanding about this horrible thing.
Yeah.
All I remember from last year is how we were supposed to have this like technological advancement, like flying cars, all the Wawasan 2020 thing. But what happened in 2020? We're all stuck at home.
Mahara did not see that coming.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys?
For me, honestly, okay, so before the pandemic started, I was actually in London finishing off my studies. So for me, I think what I'll remember the most is the flying back part, where it was kind of like I was supposed to come back in maybe June or something, but so the pandemic in London in February was still fine. I think it was still like early February, it was still less than 10 cases. I think that's when it started. But then towards the end of March, which is when I flew back to Malaysia, it was I think close to 20,000. So it really rapidly increased, and that was why my mom decided that my sister and I should go home. Just like, might as well, if we're all going to be on lockdown, I guess. And since might as well be at home, and like since I can finish my studies virtually, like it seems like it will save money and everything as well. So we went home, and the travel home was the very funny part. Like, they didn't sell masks anywhere. I couldn't find masks, or like if I searched it on Amazon, like everything would take I think 4 weeks to arrive, but they're sold out. Yeah.
And sanitizers, right?
Hand sanitizers as well. They were sold out, and like, how are we gonna go home? So my sister and I, we had to sew our own masks. Yeah, using like old t-shirts. We just like sewed and we layered it with. So thank goodness my sister, she was a medical student at the time, so she had like these filter things that we can put in the mask. Right. So we DIY'd our own masks.
That's amazing.
And we also made our own face shields as well, out of like, when in school we make folios and then we put like a plastic
transparent. Yeah.
So we just glued that to cardboard like band around our forehead. Yeah. And we just like traveled a 14-hour flight with that.
That's amazing.
It was so funny. And then like the people at the airport were like, "Did you make this yourself?"
I mean, I'm trying to save my life here.
I was like, yeah. And they were like, good for you, that's a good idea. And I was like, yeah, thank you.
Also, speaking of which, what was the flight situation in the plane? Is it like, were you guys the only a few people?
We weren't, no, because there were a lot of Malaysians fleeing back home, like everyone was really trying. So like my housemate, she had flown back a week before me and my sister. And so it was literally, so the plane was filled with people my age, so in like early 20s, because they're all students who want to go home.
Yeah.
Like usually on my flights to or back from London, there are big families who are traveling, to the holidays and stuff. But these were they were all students, and So DIY mask, DIY face shield, and we didn't have hand sanitizer, but my sister managed to buy clinical wipes, like alcohol wipes. Yeah. So we just like carried that gigantic thing around the airplane, and just like everywhere we went, we were just like wiping.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Actually, I remember that even in Malaysia we have that shortage of masks.
Yeah.
And even like there are people who sell masks, they would like hike up the prices.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it was also a challenge to find masks.
And hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I think it was just like the initial shock reaction, like
Oh yeah, people were panic buying as well.
panic buying.
Yeah.
What would you remember the most?
Just my cat.
Okay.
My family got a cat. My mom is like infamously anti-cat, and then last year we got a cat.
Somehow.
And surprising absolutely no one, my mom loves the cat now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're a cat
That's
family.
nothing new there. That happens all the time.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button and subscribe to stay tuned for part 3 coming your way.